Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramakrishnaya. Letters of Swami Vivekananda. We are in letter number 6, point number 4. We all know that Swamiji is a world teacher born to teach the entire humankind. He was destined to dispel the doubts, confusion, various kinds of wrong notions of people. The divine providence, the supreme reality, made Swamiji go through all these stages of intellectual development so that he could become a universal teacher. So Swamiji knew every inch of the way to the supreme reality. Swamiji was trained in such a way, in a scientific way, so that he could solve the doubts of spiritual aspirants, help these sincere seekers of truth to unravel the mystery of life, the mystery of existence, mystery of this universe. So Swamiji is going through all these intellectual stages, and this is a glimpse of those processes through which his intellect was growing towards a fuller understanding, towards a comprehensive understanding of our ancient scriptures and customs. So Swamiji says in point number 4, in the Tantra, Acharya Shankara has been called a crypto-Buddhist. Views expressed in Prajna Paramita, the Buddhist Mahayana book, perfectly tally with the Vedantic views propounded by the Acharya. The author of Panchadashi also says, what we call Brahman is the same truth as the Shunya of the Buddhists. What does all this mean? So Panchadashi is an Advaitic text. So Panchadashi and in other Vedantic Advaitic texts, the supreme reality is called Brahman, whereas the Buddhists, they call it Shunya, or some people call it Nirvana. As so many people call the ultimate truth in various ways. In our scriptures it is beautifully described. Ekam Sat, in our Vedas it is said, Ekam Sat Vipraha Bahuda Vadanti. Swamiji later on used to quote this very often. Truth is one, the ultimate reality, the supreme reality is one, only one. And it is described, expressed by different stages in different ways. So we should not fight over these things. There should be a universal tolerance and acceptance. Swami Vivekananda's great guru Sri Ramakrishna used to drive home this point with a homely illustration. He used to say, people draw water from one god and they call it water. From another god they call it H2O. From another place they take water and call it Pani. Some people call it Jal. Some people call it Aqua, H2O. But the substance is one and the same, but people call it by different names. Similarly, the supreme reality, the ultimate reality is called Brahman by the Vedantas, Advaitas, and by Shaivas it is called Shiva, by Vaishnavas it is called Vishnu or Narayana or Hanuman, Jagannatha, Durga. By Christians the supreme reality is called the Father in Heaven, Christ, and Allah by Muslims. So different people call the supreme reality in different ways. So we must have a comprehensive understanding of this. So Swamiji in point number 5 says, why has no foundation for the authority of the Vedas been adduced in the Vedanta Sutras? First, it has been said that the Vedas are the authority for the existence of God, and then it has been argued that the authority for the Vedas is the text, it is the breath of God. Now, is this statement not vitiated by what in Western logic is called an argument in a circle? Swamiji had mastered Western philosophy, logic, and Indian system, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, etc. So he is raising this doubt. And in point number 6, Swamiji says, the Vedanta requires of us faith, for conclusiveness cannot be reached by mere argumentation. Then, why has the slightest defect detected in the position of the schools of Sankhya and Nyaya been overwhelmed with a fusillade of dialectics? in whom, moreover, are we to put our faith? Everybody seems to be mad over establishing his own view. If according to Vyasa, Veda Vyasa, even the great Muni Kapila, the greatest among perfected souls, is himself deeply involved in error, then who would say that Vyasa may not be so involved in a greater measure? Did Kapila fail to understand the Vedas? So each one has described the ultimate truth in his own way. Later, Swamiji himself gives a beautiful solution to these apparently contradictory views. Swamiji says, the soul passing through its different stages of evolution. The soul goes from truth to truth through its different stages, and each stage is true. It goes from lower truth to the higher truth. This point may be illustrated in the following way. Swamiji has illustrated in this way. A man is journeying towards the sun. Take, for instance, a man is journeying towards the sun, and he takes a photograph at each step. How different would be the first photograph from the second, and still more from the third or the last, when he reaches the real sun. But all these photographs, though differing so widely from each other, are true, only they are made to appear different by the changing conditions of time and space. It is the recognition of this truth which has enabled the Hindus to perceive the universal truth of all religions, from the lowest to the highest. So Swamiji himself gives a solution to this. He reconciles. So all these interpretations, they differ so widely from each other, but they are all true. But they are made to appear different because they are expressed in different ways, in different languages, from different points of view. Now we are going to point number 7. According to the Nyaya, Shabda or Veda, the criteria of truth, is the word of those who have realized the highest. So the rishis as such are omniscient. Then how are they proved according to the Surya Siddhanta to be ignorant of such simple astronomical truths? How can we accept their intelligence as the refuge to carry us across the ocean of transmigratory existence, seeing that they speak of the earth as triangular, of the serpent Vasuki as the support of the earth, and so on? In our Puranas, in our mythological stories, it is said Vasuki, the serpent, the mighty serpent, is supporting the earth. So Swamiji questions it. Swamiji even questioned the visions, the spiritual experiences of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. Swamiji, as Narendranath, told Sri Ramakrishna, what you are telling, Divine Mother exists, it is all your hallucination. Mother Kali, Mother Durga, these are all your imaginations, hallucinations, delusions. They don't exist. But later on, Swamiji accepted everything as true. So now Swamiji is questioning these reports, these truths. In point number 8, Swamiji says, if in his acts of creation, God is dependent on good and evil karmas, then what does it avail us to worship him? Why should we worship that God if everything is dependent on our good and evil karmas? So there is a fine song of the poet Naresh Chandra, where occurs the following: if what lies in one's destiny is to happen anyhow, O mother, then what good all this invoking by the holy name of Durga? There was a time when Swamiji did not accept the existence of God. As I said, he fought with Sri Ramakrishna. He said, this God, Krishna, Rama, Mother Kali and all, they do not exist. It is all your hallucination, delusion. It needs a psychiatric treatment. In Western psychology, it is called psychic distortion. I cannot accept. Sri Ramakrishna withstood everything. He understood this boy Naren is going to be a world teacher. He is going to teach mankind. Now he is representing humanity. He is raising doubts on behalf of the people, the world. So he said, my boy, in course of time you will understand. This is a truth you have to experience yourself, and it cannot be intellectually proved. Through meditation, when you purify your mind, you can experience the ultimate truth. to be continued. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanam.